Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com. What's happening? Welcome to Hyphenate Halftime. It is I, your host, Randy Randall, joined as always by my hyphenated halftime co-host, Mr. Arron Farley. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well.
Monday, August 4th. What the hell? July. Yeah. That was it.
It's crazy.
Now here we are. August happening. It's coming fast at us.
August. I know I saw this meme that was like a bunch of people being like, man, this summer has been so mild. And then it was just there with like the month of September and October with middle fingers.
like we're coming for you
around the corner.
Don't worry. We have 100 degrees on Thanksgiving for you. Yeah. 100 degrees on Halloween, at least. Maybe not Thanksgiving. We might get down to the 80s by Thanksgiving here in Southern California, but oh yeah.
I know. I feel like everything since my childhood, which has now been 50 years, that everything has moved forward 1 month.
Oh.
Do you feel like, I feel like August weather is now what July weather used to be.
Got it.
And September weather is what August weather used to be.
That's so funny.
I mean, you grew up in California. Was July always hot for you in California?
Yeah.
So me too.
110 degrees, 112 degrees. It was like, I remember going to AM PM and they had those like big gulp cups, the big somethings, and just filling it all up with ice, and then just like, oh yeah.
Well, and we never started school until Labor Day.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
There's a difference.
Which was normal. It was like you'd start in September.
But from Memorial Day to Labor Day was sort of the two holidays.
Yeah, like we'd go through June.
I think we had more summer when we were kids. That's just the fact, right?
Did we have 3 months? I don't know.
I feel like
3 months.
I think
maybe.
So. I think the kids got
screwed
pretty
quick now.
Of the many things that are screwed up for future generations. It could all be traced back to the lack of summer. Yeah. No, my mom is enjoying the theory, or we have many talks. Shout out to Mom. That this is good for our conspiracy stuff, that the axis tilt of the Earth is increasing. It's changing. And I think there could be something to be said for a change in seasons, if not many other types of changes that are going on because of an axis tilt. I had a long conversation with my mom about this because she's been a big proponent, or big, not fan isn't the right word, but but she just was like, the Earth's tilting. That's why everything's so different. Everything's so different. The Earth is shifting.
I'm gonna refer to Neil deGrasse Tyson on this one, and I'm gonna see if he's talked about the shift of the Earth.
Ask ChatGPT what Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say about the Earth.
This is funny. Did you know that there are just like you can go? There's like
people.
The chat bots of people. So I'm
sure there are. Yeah, I mean, but
there are.
That's what life is now.
Lila was like having a conversation with Donald Trump chatbot today.
So gross. Did he hit on her? Like, hey, you're looking pretty good.
His
I mean, that'd be the real life version of him.
Answers were not that far off from. They were less like raunchy and horrible, and they were more like
than his real life would
funny.
be. Oh no, fuck that guy.
But
they're making him sound like he's nicer than he is.
Yeah, but there was a whole list, and you could just like click on a person and train their chat GPT with your answers or whatever.
Oh right, that's more what it is. Yeah,
I mean it all is that. We could go right into conspiracy theories.
No. Well, I want to make sure we talk about our guest last week, Alicia Rose. Were you a fan of hers, or did you know her from the Pacific Northwest?
So I knew Alicia.
Tell me
because the people that I knew, well, the one guy, my friend Lucas, who I went to college with, who was in Portland, worked at Nail Distribution.
Okay.
And so then instantly, like when I moved there, my friend Dan and Lucas were my only, like, the two people I knew, but then they, like, Luke just knew everybody in like distribution and the music, local Portland kind of music business,
Okay.
because of the, I mean, and it was a really cool place to work. Like Alicia was talking about when, like,
I don't know this distribution, nail distribution is what it was called.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, it was just like an small indie distro label. And I don't know anything about distribution. So when people say like, oh yeah, I got a label, but I don't have distribution. I mean, I understand, like, you find a distributor and then you print a certain number of records, or you used to, and then you send them to the distributor, and then the distributor gets them in the record stores and all that stuff. Well, Nail was like a small distribution company, and it ended up that, like, a ton of the people that I knew when I lived in Portland for 2 years worked in and around Nail and all the other, like, little, I guess, affiliate distro places. But Alicia, because she said in the interview she's 55, which makes sense because she did not, like, seem older, but she seemed much smarter than all of us. Like, so, like, when you meet someone and you're like, okay, I'm just going to assume you're older because you're so much smarter than all of us. And you're like, you're really taking your job and your life very seriously, like, in the best way possible, and, like, supporting, bands and friends' bands. And she was always, very busy, and also, like, knew every single person. Every time that I like hung out with people, she just, like, knew everybody. So it makes sense now that I'm like, oh, she's like 5 years older than me, and I was there when I was 23 to 25.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so she would have been in her late 20s and already was, like, successful and like,
badass,
not just going like, this is great, I have a job 3 days a week so I can hang out the rest of the time, like the rest of us.
You bums were doing. Wait, so did you work there? Did you get a job there?
No, I never worked.
Your friends did. Okay,
but yeah, two of my best friends there. Well, two of the people, my roommates, worked there, and then yeah, multiple people, like, went in and out of that place as we were there. I think what it was too, kind of, if you were like a touring musician and stuff like that it was one of those places where I think it was easier to get some time off. Like, if you worked in the warehouse and your band was going on tour for a couple of weeks, I think you could get time off, and
more
one of those jobs,
sort of
very supportive
things,
supportive to the artists and musicians and stuff.
Well,
but
cool.
Everybody that I knew that worked there were always, like, super cool, and it was a cool place to be, and you'd like hear records early and all that. First place I heard Hot Snakes.
That's cool.
Was, like, in the warehouse at Nail.
All right.
Yeah.
No, distribution's always the funny sort of thing of, like, when as you're getting into bands or like playing in bands and signed to labels, and then, like, wait, there's a distributor? Like, what do they do? And it's basically, they're the ones that sell to the stores. I mean, this is all, I'm sure all of these, titles and things kind of get muddied now in the all digital world. But there's
like the distribution really used to be where kind of all the money was made, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you didn't have, you could have a great label, but if you didn't have a distributor, it didn't matter.
Right. Yeah. Because they would have contracts with stores, or they would have relationships with outlets and stores, places where people would actually buy the music from. So they would, in theory, a good distributor would be able to get your labels in more stores. And so you could sell more records.
Get you on the good spots on the
end cap.
Get you on that end cap. Mm-hmm. Man, I used to buy from that end cap like crazy.
It's not
like this art looks good.
It's not a mistake. In. You got to have front facing end caps, right when you walk in. And I think people would pay for that kind of stuff. I mean, again, this is all like we're back in the old days. You'd have a donkey.
Did you pay to get into list? You must have paid to get on the listening station and all that stuff.
Sure. Right? Anything was available, in those halcyon heady days of the 90s indie record stores. Or corporate record stores more like it, too. There was proper. It was a proper business. People made money back then.
It wasn't even that there was just plenty of money to go around. Things were just so much cheaper.
Oh well, just
living was so even so. It really did bring me back to the
9 minutes and 50 seconds. It took us this long to get back into. Damn.
Yes.
We have to have a running timer. How long does it take for us to turn into old?
Hold on, let me tap my cane.
Yeah. Back in my day.
Tap my cane on the table.
That's true.
But even when I lived there in Portland, it was we lived in one of those old Victorian. It's like a 5-bedroom old Victorian house, and it had a dugout basement with the practice space and all that stuff.
Everyone had a soul patch and a flannel, and
amazing. And it was the rent for the whole place was like $1,100. So, wow. so you really to live there, you had to. Everybody pitched in $185 was my rent. I think $185.
You used that extra 15 for coffee and beer.
You had to make $500 a month. To be good.
I know. Hey, I was right there with you. I was
so really, it was I could be in a band, and I actually had a good job. I was a full-time photo assistant, so I was raking in the cash at $11 an hour or whatever.
God.
And I was living. I could.
That's how you afforded those lift tickets. Yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah, it was. My bank account was not hitting zero. I did not have a drug problem. I was good.
You were winning the lottery then. Living in Portland, no junk, 5 roommates.
I could buy a full-time
job. Hey,
$6 used Dickies at the thrift store instead of the bargain bin. It was crazy back then.
You're living high on the hog. Alicia was somebody that I just came across on Instagram, and I loved the story, and I love the idea of it, and I think we talk about it in the episode, but it's something that I just, from our generation, we always felt like it was part of the culture to, just talk openly about stuff that didn't feel always like you were supposed to talk about it, or you never knew what to talk about, and all these sort of things. And I know as a married man now for over a decade, there's just conversations you have with my wife, and, we talk about the things, and women's health it's a lot. I mean, men's health is a lot, but women's health is just from a perspective where I want to help and know more than, I feel like I'm constantly being schooled and learning more about hormones and about, fertility and a lot of things that just, I wasn't, I feel like just weren't talked about openly, and so I think in the idea of hormone replacement therapy and the idea of just, making menopause and perimenopause and all of those situations just more bearable. It sounded like, oh yeah, this should definitely needs to be talked about.
Totally.
I'm not a doctor. I have no medical experience other than being a supportive husband and seeing my wife go through stuff.
You're not a doctor?
Like, I'm not a doctor.
You told me you were a doctor this whole time.
Nope. I was lying. I'm definitely not a doctor. All those prescriptions, just those were. I was just kidding. I just wrote those. No pharmacy.
I've got everything. It says Dr. Randy's Pill Emporium.
Yeah, that was from somebody else. Yeah,
different Dr. Randy, huh?
But it's crazy.
But no, I totally agree, and I think the craziest thing when all this stuff. I mean, and it's not just the HRT; it's like all of women's health. I mean, it's like literally talked about in government with Planned Parenthood, and it's like such a huge deal just to get research done when it's a women's health issue, and like almost across the board, right? Like and even birth control, like all these things are hot political, like political topics that shouldn't be political,
which is insane.
How is this political that I can go into a doctor and get any kind of like reproductive, there's all this information about, anything I need done. Well, and then with women, it becomes like, well, we don't know if that's real or not. Like, I feel like
the gaslighting and just the guilt and
about like
shame and
trying to figure out what information is even coming from a real place, or if it's just. And you also have a lot of people on the other side gaslighting of like, no, you don't want to do any of that stuff. You got to take some herbs and, like non-doctor kind of like, natural homeopathic stuff as well to sift through. And the fact that women's health just doesn't get the same amount of money allocated just for research to find out all these things that by now we've been around for a couple thousand years.
Humans,
women have been going through these things.
Women have existed for a couple thousand years.
No, I mean, just in like the technological, doctors and research and writing and whatever. And that, our bodies haven't changed all that much. You'd think that they would have maybe figured some of this stuff out, but it's crazy how much when people look into it and go, yeah, no one's really spent any time looking into this. Going, wow. This is crazy. Yeah. And it's almost always a woman's issue that doesn't get the attention.
Yeah. I mean, you play devil's advocate or put the shoe on the other foot. And it's like, if you were, a man going in to get a vasectomy, like, yeah, we can't really do that. You have to talk to your priest. Like, what are you talking about? I don't even go to church. Yeah. What do you mean? Well, we need you to speak to somebody, in our religion, who fits our religious point of view before we can do this medical procedure for you. Like, wait, no, that's not how that, it would be, it would be seen as so fictitious, or if you want to buy condoms at the store and like, I just don't think it's a good idea for you right now.
Yeah.
Well, wait, what do you mean? I'm going to go have sex and I want to not have babies. So that's what I want to do. But have you really considered all of the options? Like,
have you talked to your partner about it? Because I think they should make that decision for you.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, maybe, you know what I mean? But this is
totally,
and those are, not that extreme, the misogyny of like the medical industry. It's frightening, and it's something that obviously reflects and goes along with the general Western cultural misogyny and systematic misogyny. Just it's horrendous on all these different levels. But when you can focus on it around an issue like reproductive health and around hormone replacement therapy being something that isn't even about having children. This has nothing, is reproductive in the sense that it's hormonal, but it's not, what I mean? At this point, it's just like quality of life. Like if you were able to live a higher quality or better quality or more aligned with what you want your lifestyle to be. And it's the same, I think I bring it up in the interview, but all these things for like, men, do you have low T? Like taking testosterone in your 50s as a man is a form of gender, affirming therapy. Like you
Totally.
you feel like you're a man and you don't feel like a man enough without all that, as you lose testosterone from the natural aging process, and you're taking hormones, you are replacing hormones, that your body isn't naturally making. It's the same thing with women. It's the same, or you're somebody who doesn't feel like you're as feminine as you'd like to be or as masculine as you'd like to be, at whatever stage in your life, and you want to use hormones to achieve the identity that you feel that you feel like you are, I mean, a man in his 50s with low testosterone is, he's not feeling the version of himself. His body is not, he's not living in the body that he wants to be living in. He wants to look like a jacked, bald-headed dickhead with a huge beard. Then you need to take more testosterone. That's the body you want to be living in. And then you use science and hormones and chemicals or whatever makeup of whatever there is to do that, to achieve the shape of the body that you want to be in. And that's the same as, what I mean? That's the gym bros and all these other kind of things, or that's the same idea as anyone, and going through a transition of gender or, finding who they want to be in their body. I don't know. That's my take on it. It feels like these things are so personal, but it is this collective conversation that should be advancing and, be more open, because I feel like stuff doesn't get really changed if we don't all talk about it as a collective.
Totally. Well, and like you said, that you never hear, like, if a man is wondering about testosterone and just like, oh my God, I just don't have the same energy that I used to have or whatever. And as older people, we are expected to still do the same amount of work and everything as someone who's in their 30s. Like, honestly,
normalize naps.
I've got a really good conspiracy about a nature's conspiracy about this that we could talk about too.
Oh my God,
but nobody tells men, like, oh, come on, dude, you're being too emotional about this. I mean, imagine if that was the same way of like, dude, you are making this up in your head. It has nothing to do with hormones. You're just being emotional about this. Like, stop being emotional, go back to your place and like, just get on with life, like deal with it. Literally, men never no one says that to men ever, for good reason, because you should listen to people. You should listen to people who are having an issue. But like, I feel like at this stage in life that women get told that all the time. And like, and it even with pregnancy and stuff and postpartum and all that people are like, well, God, you're just you're tired. Or it's, and like, no.
You need to eat a steak. You don't have enough iron.
We do not have like support systems that we have, that we should have, or that we used to have, that are honest and open, that people are comfortable to go to talk to people and figure these things out. And nobody knows what, there's so much misinformation, I think, in reality. Even when I told Michelle about the interview, and she had already heard of like, oh yeah, and then that one guy that completely cut everything off, cut off like, she had already read about him, and that information is out there, but only recently, right? Like, and not for everybody, and most people don't even really know about it and don't even know where to look, and their moms were told not to talk about it, and and there's just all of this stuff that again, with the way that our Medicare or medical system is too, that it's like, shh, no, we're not talking about these type of things.
But you go to a different doctor and you can get a completely different point of view. That was the thing that was definitely eye-opening for me too. And just speaking with Shannon about it, it's that, some doctors will and some doctors won't. And it's like, well, if it's across the board, if there is some medical thing, in theory, we always think, hey, all doctors are more or less the same, and they're all pulling from the same, latest medical information and, their opinions, or the feeling like, oh, well, you got to go see some, unaccredited doctor who's on the fringes of some, you got to go see some doctor that you wouldn't think is as good as other, if they're doing it against the norm. But I just think there's so much, like you said, misinformation, or even, purposefully, misleading studies that have been set
Yeah.
the status quo for so long, that there's due, to be new studies and due to have more information, more research done to really get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. And it really does speak to the bigger problem of our system being for profit, so that
Right.
all of these problems become someone's hustle. Like, well, if I can get people to not know what to think, and then I can actually sell them a different pill that adds this thing,
snake oil that does nothing, but you say it does something if it's, in this kind of in between world.
Or it does something, but it does a different thing, and HRT is your competitor, and you have more funding, whatever. I don't know. It's just all that stuff is stupid. But
I also
think that.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. I mean, there's so much nuance in anything that's medical. I tease. I'm not a doctor, but I really do think there's information. Like even on like the social media posts I put out there, someone wrote with a specific medical question about their situation. I was so glad Alicia chimed in and had an appropriate response to that, because I was like, I don't really know. At this point, we're kind of just platforming, someone who has a project that's focused on this, that is asking more questions, that is looking for more research, is looking to educate people on what's going on. Like, I don't have that. I can't speak with authority on this. And that was even why, when I was talking to Shannon, my wife, about doing this, which I was so relieved when she said she wanted to do it with me. Because again, I just think that's, personal information and personal experiences is so important. I mean, there's probably, something to be said of two white men talking about women's reproductive health, here it is even appropriate, not because that we shouldn't be talking about it, but again, we don't have the experience. But you're the father of you have a daughter, and you have a wife and a mother, and we have these things, and I think it's worth at least exploring and promoting people to go look at Menopunks and to support her project, and to just be aware of it and ask more questions. Totally. I just think it's one of those things that I felt like it was so refreshing to see her take on it. And I also liked the music angle that she was going at it with as well. And it kind of reminded me of some of the stuff about, like, even the Pavement documentary, like we are witnessing Gen X, go through this later stage in life, and seeing this generation of, all of our heroes, my heroes, of the 90s, entering these ages where questions of nostalgia, and how do we look back, in kind of ways, but also what do we do with what's going on in our life now, and using that same kind of like ferocity and punk sort of, explosive sort of questioning the system and kicking, the cart over sort of energy being applied to these different stages in life, which I think is great. And it was probably a reason too that this generation was sort of denied its place at the table politically and socially in a lot of ways. We haven't heard from the Gen X in the halls of Congress and the hall, and on these kind of things. It's been because they're asking hard questions. They want to see things be done differently, and I don't know. It's interesting.
And I think to your point too, that like having two white guys talk about it, I think it's fine, because because as long as we're not saying that we're the end all be all, like this is the
my opinion is more important than your opinion. Let me tell you what I think about it.
It's not like an importance thing, or like we're sitting here going, hey, guess what I know more about than everybody else.
No,
but I do think that it's a good thing to also see people talk about that, like this wouldn't have been talked about maybe even 5 years ago comfortably.
Yeah. I can't imagine my dad having this conversation with his friends.
Not for other people to listen to.
Yeah.
For sure. And not without like a beer and a bunch of like, jokes about women or whatever. It's just like not without like, hey, we're getting together with the bros. But I do think that part of this too, and I think this is like so many of the social issues and racism and everything else, that it's like all the points are valid to hear or whatever, if you're being respectful of the actual situation and saying like, hey, here's how I feel this affects me, or here's an opinion that I have, but not being like, I'm going to take over this And I think that that's usually what the white dude contingent does, is like, this is amazing. I have a way
the
to run an organization that is going to talk about like women's rights of color in lower economic, and like, no, this is not what we're here for.
No one's looking for your voice in this situation.
Let's try to amplify some of the, like I feel like it's great that Alicia came on, because it was also like, it was way more of a music art perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And you and Alicia and Shannon have a music art perspective that doesn't have to do with gender, and like that part of it is like a social cultural thing that you and I and all these people are a part of, that kind of at points, if done well, can transcend those other things of that you can talk about from a like touring musician, independent person that has tried to run multiple businesses and is hustling, and that so you can understand that part of her story so well that when she brings up something like this, you're like, yes, I understand the area surrounding this, of the DIY and the people coming together and booking shows and really feeling like an outcast community that's like going forward, and that's like pushing forward to support so many people, and like doing shows for benefit shows. And we've all been a part of those things, and Food Not Bombs, and that like we realize that art and music support those can be it can be such a good thing for people to hold on to when they're having troubles or going through something, but also can be like a really crazy support system. Like she said, when she was talking, she brings it up to a friend who's in a band, and they're like, oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. And Carrie's going through the same thing too. And this person and this person. And then they all realize like, oh my God, we're all in our 50s
Mm-hmm.
and we're like going through the same thing that's never really gets talked about. Like, we have an organizational structure within this art and music community that we've built for 30 years, 40 years on top of the other people that built it for the 20 years before that we actually might be able to do something about this. And I think that that's where like all of these, like seeing it from that music standpoint is like, yeah, I've seen so many documentaries funded this way, and so many shows put on to, benefit Food Not Bombs, and benefit like someone trying to open up a community center in a local area, and small area that needs, it just comes from that thing. And to hear her excitement and like really being pumped, like it felt like someone who's opening a venue.
Yeah.
Like it had that same like, oh my God, you guys, wait,
needs to happen.
I found a place that needs something, and we actually have the resources maybe to put something together to fill that gap. And I do think that that's kind of where our generation is like, there's probably a term for it, but it's like a positive negativity. I don't know, like just being like, whatever, this whole situation sucks, but we might as well do something about it. Like I feel like there was always that like, well, yeah, of course it sucks, everything sucks, life sucks, this sucks, everything is horrible, whatever. But you know what I want to do? I want to help everybody, and want to feed the homeless, and we should have bike lanes, and because you know why? Because everything sucks. Everything's horrible. It sucks. I'm super depressed. I'm really bummed out. I don't know what to do with life. But you know what we should do?
But we need
and then everybody has
thing.
like, we should put on a concert for 20,000 people to give all the money to, whatever. I think that there's that underlying positivity that that our generation reluctantly has. Like reluctant positivity, maybe. I don't know what it is, but it's
I think it's right. You know what I mean? And that's what's definitely what's interesting about Alicia and the film and everything, and she kind of talks about how it, came together of wanting to make a film, and then about her and her friends, and then, kind of looking at the underlying sort of conditions of why is it that they're feeling this way? Why are they feeling so good and feeling so creative at this time in their life? And I mean, I can honestly say, like, I didn't know menopause outside of like Golden Girls jokes, as a person my age and coming into the stage of my life, and now, being in my 40s and being married and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, this is a thing. Like, what is it? And it's not necessarily, anything that was ever a conversation, as a younger man, certainly, and then even amongst older men, and it was just like, oh, okay. And I feel like, again, there's something about that kind of cultural misogyny of, like, I think we talk about, like, in Hollywood or in the entertainment industry, as women age and, get older than 30, like, their value decreases, or it's hard to sort of see representations of older women in media and sort of find those places, that's the bigger entertainment sort of side of it. But even just in life, how do we, just going through that and having the respect and the love for these women as they go through these things, and like, oh, you don't have to feel that way if there is another option, and if this works for you, and you can work with your doctor to, find those things, and just to, it was, and it's funny because I was at a show that recently, and I was talking to some other friends, of a certain age of my age, and it's like, oh yeah, fucking menopause. They just brought it up on their own, like, fucking menopause sucks. I can't sleep. I'm fucking sweating all the time. This shit's, it's gnarly. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. I just had somebody on the podcast, and, we were talking about it. And again, I don't know. It's just not a conversation I ever imagined having or knew, and again, like I said, what is what do we, I don't know, what is there, is there anything to bring to the conversation, or just being supportive, or just being there to, like, support and to listen to the conversation of what's going on? I feel like that's ultimately it. But, I just feel
Totally.
like I just feel like if it was the same, like if all the guys I knew suddenly just started feeling like shit and couldn't sleep and were sweating all the time, by the time from 35 to 55, if you had 20 years of your life potentially that, just we're fucking rough as shit. I think mostly we just get fat and then figure out how we got to ride bikes or something. We got to eat better. Sort of between 35 and 55 is a lot of, like,
get through it so well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, like many things that women do with class and, men would not be as good at being a woman, for sure.
No, I don't think we're so good at the suffering the bullshit parts.
Right. Yeah. We definitely break down. There'd be a lot more pissing and moaning, but again, that's always the thing, right? Then, like, well, there'd probably be support, and there'd be, there'd be a whole like football stadium set up for men going through menopause. Like, oh yeah, come through. We got you.
Support systems.
They would have, they'd have big logos, and there'd be a sporting event. They'd sponsor the Super Bowl.
Come on, buddy.
Come on, get through this. Get your patch on. Are you getting enough estrogen? Yeah, you got to get it on. Let's go. It would be a very different thing. Yeah. Well, I was so stoked to have that conversation. I was glad Shannon could join it, because clearly I don't know enough about it or feel, really in any position to add much to the conversation other than just, providing the space on the podcast, like making that space to sort of have the conversation there.
But again, I think that this is why what your podcast is for. I think it's good.
It's fun. Yeah.
You're having all these conversations. Some people really well, and some people a little bit, and some people not really. But even when she came on and she's like, oh my God. And then this, she was making reference to some of your old shows, and like, oh, when you talk to this person and they must have known this. And like, it really is like that. It's a great group of people and good, I think it's really important in this time in your 40s and 50s to reflect on your 20s and 30s.
Yeah,
I think it is, and when you look at it, and you've done like what, 200 of these, or
just finishing the second year. We'll be starting
that's a lot of people reflecting on their 20s and 30s, and you've only had a couple a couple people or groups of people that were maybe in their 30s still.
Oh, right. Yeah.
A couple of bands, like younger bands,
the
maybe,
youngins. Yeah.
but most of the people are our age, and I think that it's I think the generations before us just didn't really talk. It didn't have a forum like this to talk about all this stuff. You talk about it with your buddies or someone at work or something, but not like a long form kind of what you're going through.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm so glad. It's funny you bring it up. Yeah, just wrapping up the second year and starting the third year of the podcast. Like, I wasn't really sure what it was going to be, and I think in a lot of ways I'm still finding it out and kind of making it up as I go along. But definitely, I'm proud to have the space to share more stories and to just be curious. I feel like it's been a big part of it too. It's just using this as a way to talk to people I know and to catch up and have all the kind of the fun conversations that you just don't have when you're grabbing a cup of coffee with somebody. There's something about the formality, and even like the screen feels like very Errol Morris, like there's something that's detached so you can ask more intimate questions in some way. And then
right.
But then there's ways of just being like, oh, I just found this cool person on Instagram. I just saw this thing. Like, I can invite them onto the podcast and I can learn more about it and sort of share that conversation of me learning more. And hopefully other people can figure out these things too. So it's kind of that whatever feels interesting to me. It's like, cool. That's what the podcast is for.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're the curator.
Yeah. The conversation curated conversations. Speaking of which, so starting, I guess, this Thursday I'll be kicking off Smell Month to celebrate the third year of the Hyphenated podcast. This was something I hadn't really thought about till Tim from the Meishi commented on one of the posts, I think on his brother Jeff's post, and like, you should do a Smell Month. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. Yeah. Is that something that would be interesting? So I've put together 4 fun interviews. I think that'll be kind of centered around the All Ages Club Cultural Center, The Smell, that's still operating, going into almost, 28 years. No, is that 28? Right? Well, I
mean, yeah, it was around before I moved.
27 years. Yeah. 98 was, I think, when it opened officially in the Valley. 97, 98. So I'm almost coming up on 30 years of existence. So it is wild. So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I think this Thursday I'll talk to Jim Smith, the man behind The Smell, and then I'll check in with a few other people who represent sort of my experience, or can talk about the time that I was first sort of involved in The Smell. And obviously, what's fun reflecting on that many years is like The Smell has gone through so many different generations and different times. And there's there was a time I was very involved, and then there was a time before me, and there was a time after me, and I think that's great. And it's fun to sort of just be part of a river. Like, I put a couple rocks down, but the river kept going. It wasn't there for long.
That's amazing. I remember when you guys played that Hollywood Bowl show, and and when Sonic Youth played, and right at the end, Thurston Moore goes, "Everybody go to The Smell."
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I don't think anybody here is like looking around.
No one's leaving the show.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, I think I was standing next to Jim on the side of the stage when he said that too. I was like, I looked at Jim, and he's like, no one's there. It's closed. He was there to see the show. It's like, I hope they don't go there, because there's not going to be anybody there.
I hope he means figuratively, like within the next month or something.
Yeah, definitely not tonight, because I'm here. I'm not answering. Yeah. The doors are closed tonight. Yeah, no, it's been crazy. So that'll be coming up this week. But we got to check back in on our Buy My Fi SciCon experience. We watched. We took last week off because we were traveling, but we have a couple more. We'll finish off here. I guess we'll go through August. I think we have a couple more. We're getting towards the end of the 90s sci-fi, not so dystopian. Predictions of the 90s predict what life would really be like now. We watched Enemy of the State, starring Will Smith and Gene Hackman this week.
Yeah,
it just feels it's all about like, the NSA is spying on us, the government spying on us. It was like the most like, no shit, Sherlock setup to watch now in 2025. Like, can you believe people were worried about this? Or not because they shouldn't be worried, but because it's so obvious that just Yeah. Everything
What I
they
loved,
played for drama, you're like, that happens every day. The government's spying on you every day.
what I loved though is the timeline of like how fast everything happened, and then like the first time when they showed up, whose door did they show up at? When they showed up at the fact that Jason Lee
Jason,
was the
your
messenger.
buddy Jason Lee was in there, yeah.
Oh my god, that's Jason Lee. That's amazing.
Remember when Jason Lee could be in movies?
Yeah. And he was, when they showed up at his door, there was some reference to that the murder had only happened an hour before. They were like, it's been an hour. And I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. How did they get his phone number that quick?
Right.
In the 90s? The fact that they just could, I just love those like 90s and before. I mean, maybe they still did it in 2000s. I'm sure they did it with, what was that? The TV show with Claire Danes where she was like a CIA officer. Homeland. Yeah. That they probably did it with that too, where it's like, they're like, get on that phone line. And they just bring it up. And it's like, and they could just be like, oh, he just talked to so-and-so for 20. What did he say?
Here's the transcript.
Here's the transcript. And then they're like, enhance.
Yeah, the enhance is always great. Yeah.
I saw him shooting with not only a Sony Handycam, but that thing is not even HD. Yeah. That was pre-HD Sony Handycam.
They're giving that chip a lot of credit. Yeah.
You're not enhancing anything.
That is 420 at best. You're lucky if you get it to 720.
Yeah, maybe 640. Yeah. Maybe you're 640 by 480 or whatever. But there was so much of that it took like at least 15 minutes to where I could suspend disbelief to go, oh wait, okay, they're just going to do that the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just
I got to stop being so like, how could they even get on the phone lines? They're in the CIA and there's and Jack Black.
Of course. Yeah. You're like your guys in the van, the government, tech team of Seth Green, like, Jack Black. Oh, who was the other one? There was another guy in there. What's his face?
The guy that had the MTV show, Jamie Kennedy.
All these like young guys, like, okay, we can get to him. Okay, go for the helicopter. We got to get overhead. No satellite views coming in. But then they use the thing they call it like predictive imaging, which is essentially AI Photoshop now, but where you could put something in 3 dimensions. Like, well, we're just predicting what the rest of his face looks like
because we have 2 cameras in the room.
Yeah, it's like you definitely can't do that then at that point, but maybe even now it's he'd have 6 fingers.
I don't know. Yeah, you could maybe go like a couple steps this way and a couple steps that way. But that being said, as a thriller, it was good. The first 15 minutes were weird. There was so much packed into there with like the mafia and whether he's like kind of a good lawyer or bad, like he's trying to like go to he goes to the other mafia boss and he's the lawyer for the
union, right? Yeah, and then he's trying to blackmail you could feel the rewrites happening like on screen. You're like, they thought this was gonna be a whole. They did not write this for Will Smith. They needed another pass to sort of really like get the Will Smith character in this film. Like this still could have been played by a lot of other people for the first 20 minutes, and then it sort of becomes a Will Smith movie, but.
Well, and then and to like fit the end, like where the way that it ends, to fit that into like, you could just tell that there was a lot of reaching at the beginning, because at the beginning I'm like, I mean, I know this is setting something up, but there's a lot going on here with him. Like I'm having I'm having to suspend a lot of disbelief of like, so wait, you're in an Italian restaurant and you have a VHS tape, and then he's gonna like kill you.
You got a copy of this tape? Like,
who made this tape? And I'm like, what do you mean? Who made this tape? You're talking into the camera in the tape. You know who shot the tape.
Who was there that day? Was it a waiter?
Who was holding the video camera that you were talking into with your friends, going, "Hey, what's up? Hey, it's a birthday party."
It's not like it was super surveillance footage, grainy from like 100 yards away. Like you're literally in the room with the person.
Yeah, but all the setup of like the FBI being around the corner, and it was good, the setups, because then once the end happened, I'm like, oh, now they have to hit all the setups. So they have to go
Close
by
all
the
the
FBI
loops.
and they have to go back into the mafia guy. But I didn't see as an action movie. I definitely didn't see a couple of the things going. I feel like I had maybe seen half of that movie. Some of it seemed kind of familiar, but I definitely didn't remember the end. So it was a good, and the fact that the end, they just like, they're all blowing each other, like they all kill each other. And then he sneaks out from underneath the table and like, and the cops are there. They're like, whoa. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I had nothing to do with this. And then they're like, okay. And then they go to and he just walks out.
Oh my God.
I love that.
Yeah. It's good. Very Tony Scott of him. He did True Romance, also the same director.
Oh,
has the big shootout at the end.
They did love those in the 90s. It's very like Quentin Tarantino.
Well, yeah. Well, Quentin Tarantino wrote True Romance. It was a Quentin script directed by Ridley Scott's brother, Tony Scott, who was cocaine personified, more or less, as a director. But I love they showed our Second Street tunnel, the downtown LA's tiled, the lit up tunnel that we shot at the music video in.
Yeah, when we also had someone very worried that you were actually a bloody man,
right, running through that tunnel. Like, oh my God, I could have been Will Smith running through this tunnel.
Are you okay?
Shooting at 2 a.m. in downtown LA, covered in blood, running
bloody.
through
look up the Rat Fest video on YouTube.
The most photographed tunnel on Earth. Oh, yeah,
my God, that was
great.
Fun.
Yeah, but I also love how long that tunnel seems on film. Like in reality, you drive through there in about 30 seconds, but they can make it last on film for about 5 minutes. He's in the tunnel. Where's he go? He's got an access point. No, how did he climbed up and got back in this, and then came out of a manhole in the same tunnel. Like it was supposed to be,
right.
Like how
he went up and came up underneath.
Yeah, and then he got right back. Somehow he went in a full circle and came out of the tunnel where he was running.
And then when the guys drove the two like Lincoln Continentals or whatever into the drainage underneath and were chasing him.
Oh yeah.
Like inside the little tiny tunnel, and oh my God, I love all those scenes because it is the scene where it's written.
It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle logic of how big the sewers are. Like you could drive a whole car in there.
And someone goes, "Does this make sense?" And then the director goes, "What's this? It's a tunnel and a car can fit into it. Of course it makes sense." Yeah. How'd they get in there? It doesn't matter. What are you talking about?
Action.
I went into this tunnel and I was like, there needs to be two cars.
Get these cars
driving up and down on each side, chasing one man. That's what this is. It doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah. No, Tony was a stylist all the way through. You know what I mean? I don't know what that stuff. Even when he was running, it was like kind of like high exposure sort of thing. Like shot. Yeah, it was definitely like shooting on different kinds of film.
Well, I think they shoot it
effects of things.
Yeah, I think they shoot it. It's like they shoot it low speed, and then they shoot it high speed. And then they slow it down, or they cut frames or something.
That's how they get
to go. Yeah, kind of it's like you cut frames, so you get like a jittery, but it's still kind of at the same speed, but you're missing the in between.
It's like a metaphor, man.
Or I think they shoot it slow motion, so you shoot it at a higher speed, and then you cut out multiple frames, and then you put it back in, so it's the same.
The other thing I had heard about this film even before watching it was, did you ever see the Francis Ford Coppola movie, The Conversation, from the 70s? No. It's really slow, but it's great. It's kind of classic, sort of paranoid thriller sort of thing. But Gene Hackman's in it, but obviously, 20 years before this movie. And he plays like an espionage guy, and this was sort of around like Watergate, and these sort of the early days of sort of what that tapping a phone and all like the cassette recorders you could hide in a briefcase and all these things. And I remember seeing a review or hearing a review of this film. It's like he's almost playing like the same character that they did in The Conversation, but now like aged up. It's like the same kind of idea of like the paranoid sort of like person. But again, it's the same kind of thing. Like he gets something on tape that he shouldn't have, and everyone wants to get that piece of tape from him, and he's got to use his espionage skills to outwit the other people. But it's not really an action film. It's a very kind of like taut psychological thriller of, you know, and cat and mouse and who knows what about who and who's heard the tape and who's coming for the tape and what do I do with the tape, you know, sort of again predicting, you know, all the world and all this other stuff.
Well, in this movie, we realized that until the very end, neither one of them even knew what was on the tape.
Right. Yeah. It didn't even matter.
Like, they didn't even know.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't know that that it had anything to do with the murder or anything. They were just like, they just knew it was bad and they had to run.
Yeah.
Give me the tape. I can't give you the tape. And then they literally had no clue what was on the tape.
It didn't matter.
Which also made me go like, you might want to, I mean, you probably should figure out what's on the tape.
Just be aware of it, maybe.
Although it was on a Game Boy. It was on like the Game Boy GameCube or whatever. Or no, Game Boy.
So funny.
Disc, which was great.
I
like how the boys tried to play the Game Boy. It didn't work, man. This thing's broken.
I just thrown it in the trash.
I felt bad.
Yeah. But I just kept thinking too, like how would this have been done if they remade this now, or could they make this now? And it just feels like, you know, today it would just be front page. You know, they'd have the video out there, and everyone just go like, you know, Trump killing a guy, throwing him in a lake or something, or you know, like, yeah, MAGA. We're still going to vote for him. Let's vote him. Yeah, he really believes what he's doing. I'm like,
I mean, yeah, but is the economy good? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's as much as what they have on the Epstein files and this thing of like, it's going to come out. He's on the Epstein files. Like, how do you fuckers not know that he's been on the Epstein files for this whole time? Like, that was the number one thing that was, yeah, between him and Clinton, you know what I mean? And like, weren't there names that were already released? I feel like this is like, you already knew all this stuff. Like, how did like Stephen Hawking was on it? Like Matt Groening was on it, or that was the plane files. But is there another like file? They must have more files.
Bill Gates was on it a ton of times, and all these other
like
people, because he also was like investing in tech and getting all those tech guys out, and he had billions of dollars. And yeah, I was just thinking about this today that they're definitely doing the play of the oversaturation, pretending that information is not out there that's out there, and they are kind of pretending that it's way more. Like, I keep seeing these things of like, why are they're playing so stupid? Why are they pretending that there's no, or like, why are they holding this up or whatever? I'm like, the thing is, they're not holding anything up. Everything's out there. All of the information is out there. We know, like even today, a report came out that was like, yeah, years ago, the FBI redacted Trump's name out of the Epstein files 4,000 times, like literally that many times, because he was a private citizen at the time, and it wasn't like implicated in any like specific thing or something, so there was redacted. So what I think they're really doing is that they're like building it up so much and making everybody freak out so much that this is going to be the thing. And he does this every time. It's like, this is going to be the thing, and they stall until it gets so high. And then they go, fine, it gets released. It gets released, and people go,
the Mueller report,
we knew
all these
all
things.
this.
We've done this before. Yeah.
Well, they just knew it all.
Yeah.
They, like,
nothing
wait,
new.
what do you mean? We knew all this stuff. And they're like,
distraction.
Yeah, that's what's in the report, dummies. We got you talking about this for 6 months.
And you took your eye off the ball of this shitty bill that, like, he just basically, is gutting the entire government. And this beautiful bill that just passed, and they got ICE people kidnapping people off the streets still. But now that conversation is around this dumb, file that we've already known about. But
he's making $1 billion a month in crypto scam. Like $1 billion. And no one's talking about that at all.
Yeah.
Right?
You got everybody so busy talking about this thing over here, which is a non-news story.
Well, and the Jeffrey Epstein thing, absolutely horrible.
Of course.
But it's also been like through the courts multiple times. There's so much information, and he got voted in twice
with all that information out there. With
people knowing that he was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. The fact that the Democrats are always looking for an explosive thing that's gonna just take him down.
Well, that's
And,
it,
like,
right? Like,
how
because we were
this?
raised on these dumb movies where it's like, oh, when the truth
Yeah.
comes out, the
Yeah.
politicians will get taken out. Like, that's the biggest lie the American people have been sold, that there's one poison pill, there's one magic bullet that's going to take out all these shit hills.
Like Scooby-Doo is going to come and
we figured
pull
it
the
out.
mask off and go, it was Trump the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Take it back to the lair, whatever. Or Superman's going to come
doesn't work
and save everything. And it's like, no. That's not how it works. You actually need people who believe in things to vote
organize
for.
And get it. Yeah. Get a
and
big enough
to actually do the
together.
things that you say you're going to do, instead of getting Democrats to vote for you. And then you go in and go like, well, we're kind of going to do some Republican shit. Yeah. Like mostly. Right. And then we'll do a couple like the things that we talk about. But really, we're kind of just doing some righty stuff, more righty.
Yeah.
And then, whatever. And you think like, oh my God, we just need Trump, maybe even JD Vance to get out. And like, by the time either one of them were to even get impeached, even if that happened, the damage kind of got done with Palantir and everybody pumping the AI. Like AI is running through all the government files right now. And like, I don't know, guys. I think we're cooked for a while. Money wise, I don't think there's much any like 60, 70-year-old lawyers who are senators are going to do about AI having control over our
medical records,
which is, whatever.
Yep.
What are you going to do? I don't know. We're going to have a podcast, talk to some people about aging.
Well, yeah.
I mean, listen.
You got to do what's personal.
This is my nature's conspiracy. Is that the average age up until like not that many thousands of years ago really was like 30 or something, right? The average age. And so you had some people that were older. Most of that 30 came from like infant mortality was really high. So, but you're in like the 30s and 40s. So really our bodies and our minds through most of evolution is only really made to go to like 40. It's only set up for 40. So everything after 40 is kind of a crapshoot, I feel. And so I feel like a lot of these older things that we all deal with are like, God, why is life so hard? And we're like, we're all supposed to be dead by this time.
Well, I think
we are not supposed to be alive.
Yeah.
Like we are not supposed to have medicine. We're not supposed to have we're not supposed to be able to the amount of people that survive the flu is astronomically amazing now, right? Like even like diarrhea and like any of those like basic things, dysentery that
in some
really
used to still rips through communities.
In some
but
totally.
But I think again on the overall human evolution cycle, on the scale of millions of years. Yes, you're correct. However, within the scale of a human lifetime, where we go back hundreds of years, where within our own lifetime where the life expectancy and age and has gone up, and so we should be at least within at least 5 to 6 generations, where we should be living better lives.
I mean, we're plateaued. We've plateaued. Right?
I think we could keep improving. I think we could do it.
How old is aspirin?
I don't know.
A couple hundred years?
Yeah, sure. But still, I mean, we've done,
aspirin is keeping a lot of heart problems at bay right now. Right?
If Katy Perry's going up in outer space, we can have better healthcare, is all I'm saying.
Well, this is where
we could have longer life expectancy.
That shows that we've hit the bell curve and we're going back down. The fact that we're shooting, the fact that we have the ability to shoot
Katy Perry into space,
anybody who could go up there and make some kind of difference, and we choose to put celebrities up there for like a photo op.
Publicity stunt, yeah.
That just goes maybe the worst publicity stunt maybe of all time. I don't know. Maybe we should try to figure out
the worst publicity stunt of all time yet so far.
This also shows you with all the information and all the smartest people and billions of dollars that people are still just, you really need a good decision maker in anything that you do. You need a good designer. You need a good bullshit detector. And you just need someone that can make those hard decisions to go, guys,
don't do it.
I know you
It's gonna bite you in
dudes.
the ass. You don't see it coming.
You guys think
coming.
this is such a, well, just put women in there. And like, okay, but that's not how that's performative. This is called performative.
It's not actual empowerment. It's
We're
not
not,
real empowerment.
there's not a reason for this other than you patting yourself on the back. This is where you have the ability, you have the technology of all these amazing things that humans have built. Like, shut up and move over to the side and let some intelligent people put some thought into this and go, how could we advance instead of devolute? Devolute.
Are we not men? We are Devo.
Yes, we are Devo. It would have been great if they were all wearing Devo hats. Would have been perfect.
Let's do it. Yeah. The power domes.
The power domes. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's a good place to leave it. Thank you once again for wasting hour of your life here with us. I appreciate it. You will never get this back. Time's gone. Yeah. We did it.
So you're the negative one. I'm the positive one. We have been now more. We're building communities here. This is a great place to go. Like, go through the 2 years of archives. Randy, he will never tell you himself. He'll never tell you himself, but he's doing amazing work. He's interviewing some really amazing people who have amazing ideas. Go and listen to all of them, and it will change your world.
We can do
and
it.
go to the Menopunks website and like and subscribe.
Yeah, we can make changes together. We can do this.
Yes.
Do not give up hope.
Yes.
Keep
Let's
up.
go.
All right. There we go.